This episode has a lot going on. The global M2 money supply is exploding as trillions of dollars are being generated and flowing into the system. But where is the real liquidity heading? Central banks are evolving, institutions are positioning themselves, and the digital revolution is taking place. XRP has a $1 trillion market capitalization in bull cycle. I think so. As utilities grow, banks merge, lines are built, and regulatory clarity approaches, the pieces are starting to fit together. We have a lot to discuss in this episode, and the moon is almost here. So without further ado, sit down and relax. Let's begin. Bitcoin is $84,280. The final day saw a 1% gain. The price of Ethereum is $1,927. It is currently up 1.44% because last night XRP went on a bit of a heater. Both the USDT and USDC are closing at their respective dollar pegs. They tried to get to our first point of resistance at about $250. As of this morning, there has been some retracement after it failed. Let's observe what transpires during the day. With its current price of $2.43, the total market value of all cryptocurrencies is $2,726,000,000. There is something quite amazing about this. It's fascinating to throw stuff out there. We will do that today if we look at coin market capitalization, which, as you know, I never do. We may observe that the completely diluted valuation represents the entire market capitalization of a cryptocurrency in the event that all of its possible tokens were in circulation. How is the value established? The current price multiplied by the entire supply. XRP has surpassed Ethereum in market share. Interesting, isn't it? The revenue generated by TH is $232,568,000,000. It comes to $243,730,000,000, something to be aware of. Although it's entertaining to see FDV no longer conveys any real meaning. You get it? James Earl was the publisher of this. You probably received an email from LinkedIn this morning outlining their plans, so if you have ever utilized the platform as a user or investor, you should check your mailbox. You know, they're under a lot of heat. I would rather not. I don't know. I won't talk about it because I wasn't involved. Although I'm not totally clear what's happening behind the scenes, it seems from the court documents that a new leadership team will take over. Many people will be removed from LinkedIn and they will be asked to explain their actions and inactions. I'm not here to discuss it or provide analysis. I have never purchased anything from them before, including this item. If you use LinkedIn to purchase pre-shares of anything, you should stay up to date on the latest developments and make sure you're following along to ensure there is nothing you need to do, because at the end of the day, you don't want to lose any money. Everyone's favorite is Tom Lee, Mr. Litecoin Maxi himself. Give it to me. He predicts that Bitcoin will be the best performing asset this year. It'll be more effective than gold. It's intriguing that Tom Lee says this, since when talking about the year's best performing asset, do you think Bitcoin will triple in value from its current level? You estimate it to be about $240,000. We'll just call it $225,000. Or do you predict that XRP will treble and drop to roughly $7.50, which is more realistic in your opinion? Many other assets are also available, aren't they? That being said, this is just maxi level times 100. Let's hear what Tom has to say. From a more succinct standpoint, I think the new administration's actions are now quite disruptive. However, they also have structural benefits as they are helping to normalize the U.S. deficit. And I do think that animal spirits are coming back, even though things like these consumer confidence surveys don't support that. Furthermore, we know that Investors' capital allocation decisions are supported by real-world productivity indicators like artificial intelligence. Future upheavals will undoubtedly occur, particularly in the Bitcoin area. Bitcoin, in my opinion, is still our number one choice for this year. As a result, we think it will surpass gold as the asset class with the best performance. The main point of all of this, though, is that it seems like Tom either has a substantial sum of money invested in Bitcoin or he persuaded a lot of people to research it and invest in it. I think La La Land is where my boyfriend resides. Michael Sallin released this. According to him, the global M2 money supply has increased dramatically even if Bitcoin has been oversold. According to this, Bitcoin will reach its peak of 100,000 by May. It's not Michael Sala's account, just so you know. But the points being made here are really important. If you haven't seen the global M2 money supply before, it's intriguing. In terms of forecasting the future course of Bitcoin, this has shown to be the most accurate indication. Let me tell you about this. For those of you watching the yellow screen, that's our M2. Okay, usually there's a little delay. Well, around here. As we can see, the M2 fell into the high $75,000 range. A few weeks later, Bitcoin did the same. There is always a lagging indicator of some kind after this. Therefore, up to that $100,000 area, it is anticipated where the M2 will go next. As a result, it will take several weeks for Bitcoin to start making waves as well. What is M2 globally? But I've got you covered. This represents the total quantity of M2 currency in use across the global economy. The money supply is measured by M2, includes high liquidity assets like demand deposits, checking accounts, and actual cash, whereas near money refers to less liquid assets like time deposits and savings accounts. You can see these money market funds. What is the significance of the global M2? It's actually quite simple. Indicators of the economy's health, inflation, liquidity, and impact on markets and cryptocurrencies. When the M2 increases, especially due to central bank money creation, investors are often attracted to hard assets like Bitcoin, gold, and real estate. What led to the global M2 rise during the 2020-2021 COVID-19 pandemic? Well, massive money printing and stimulus packages. In order to control inflation, the Fed and other central banks began tightening in 2022, which curbed the growth of M2 and cryptocurrencies. India, Russia, Brazil, and the BRICS. Next were South Africa and China. They support de-dollarization, which may have an impact on how M2 is distributed globally. As you can see, what happened with COVID, if you go back in time, as more money was printed, M2 rose. The markets for cryptocurrencies have exploded. When we tightened this in 2022, what happened? Back then it was the bear market. Something to keep in mind. Blockchain proponents think that XRP's influence and connection to Bitcoin are still developing in spite of all the turmoil. On the left is your conversion from XRP to Bitcoin. On the right is your XRP dominance. I'll look at it for a bit. We are currently concentrating on this configuration. Seeing marks the start of our resistance range. This is something we have been